My name is David L. and I'm the author of You Are Gods. It's available at Amazon.com as either a digital download or hard copy. The easiest way to get your copy is to do an author search by my name, David. My last name is spelled E-H-L, and you can get your copy at Amazon.com today. In today's video, we're going to be continuing our discussion on the process of getting your prayers answered, things you can do to improve your results. We talked about the importance of being precise and detailed. Vague, generic prayers result in vague, generic answers. Specific, detailed prayers result in specific, detailed answers. So be precise if you want precise answers. But it's one thing to send out a precise signal, a detailed signal. It's another thing to send out a powerful signal. And it improves your results to do both. And as we discussed in the last video, emotions are the power behind your prayer. The stronger the emotion, positive emotion, love, joy, happiness, the faster you're moving in the direction of your dreams. Negative emotions are very much like the brake. Anger, resentment, fear, worry, doubt, anxiety, all of those things are like stomping on the brake. And the problem is that it's not just at the time of the prayer. You see, this is one of those hidden little gems that just eluded me for years. I thought that as long as I was sending out a clear, precise signal with lots of joy and happiness at the time of the prayer, that it would go on its merry way. But what I've learned through practical experience is that it's not just at the time of the prayer. It's being loving and joy-filled and happy as frequently and as often as possible. Negative emotions, whether it's at the time of the prayer or later on, stop the process. They can bring it all to a screeching halt, especially things like fear, worry, and doubt. One of the things that it's hard to do, and I didn't understand this for many, many years, but it's hard to go from really strong negative emotions to really strong positive emotions quickly. There's a time lag built into our psyche, into our minds, into our hearts, that it's a very slow process. Even if it's a couple of hours or a couple of minutes, to go from a strong negative to strong positive is very, very hard to do. And in fact, going back and forth can get you into a situation where you've got all sorts of emotional upheaval going on. Strong negative emotions too keep you down. They make you feel physically bad. Well, one of the things to do to actually make yourself feel good all day, every day, is to start working on positive emotions. Now, I had problems with this for years because I felt like I had to do it. I was supposed to do it. I'd been going to church and I'd talked to other people about spirituality, and they said, oh, you need to be happy, you need to be grateful, you need to do this. And I was like, well, don't tell me what to do. I've got enough going on without you putting pressure on me to feel the right emotions. You see, it was just stressful. It was like, nobody explained why it was important. They all told me I had to do it to please God or to please other people and all this sort of thing, but that's actually not the case. God loves me exactly the way I am, no matter what my mood is. But when I'm in a positive, loving, joy-filled mood, my prayers are going out on a very, very powerful, strong signal. Fear and anxiety are like static on my signal. And if I can get into that space, and I've done this many times before, where one joy-filled moment leads to the next, and you can go on this roll where positive emotions reinforce positive emotions. When you become intentional, when you start doing it intentionally because it's the signal you want to send out, not because you told you have to, but because you want to, because inside you it's your desire to be filled with joy and happiness and gratitude. So start working on the process step by step. And like many other people, I've gone through my tough times. I've gone through divorce and layoffs at work and financial stress and stress with children, all of that. All of us have those types of things that show up in our life. The question becomes is how do you navigate that? And sometimes I've navigated it better than others emotionally when it comes to staying in a positive frame of life. But when they told me that it wasn't for satisfying somebody else, to make other people happy, but it was for my own prayers, the results of my own prayers, that's when it began to click in my head. And I found that when I would get into this positive reinforcement cycle where I would be grateful for whatever it was I could find to be grateful for. When you're in that really negative spot, when you're in a really painful place, try to find something to be grateful for. And here's the thing, it doesn't matter what you're grateful for, just be grateful. And it doesn't matter how strong a signal you can be sending at that time. Just do it. Because it's not at that moment that the results start to show up. It'll be later on. And what happens is it's like sending out positive emotions into the future so that they'll show up back for you. And over a period of days and weeks and even months, what can happen is you can see yourself, if you intentionally start to send out positive emotions, love, joy, and happiness, and especially gratitude, what you'll start to see is you'll start to have more things that you're grateful for, and more things will start to show up in your life to be grateful for. And you slowly over time start to work your way up, and it becomes an upward spiral. And what happens is you begin to physically feel better. It's one thing to go through depression, fear, worry, anxiety, and feel bad. And to come out of it and just feel normal. But it's another thing when you can get into this space where you feel good. You have a strong tingle. It's this feeling across your chest of gratitude. You can feel the endorphin rush, the runner's high. You can feel that just because you're happy and grateful. And when you're in that space, suddenly what the psychologist Carl Jung described as synchronicities begin to happen. All of a sudden, when you're in that space, the synchronicities, those things like opportunities you've always dreamed of, they start showing up. Answers to prayers that you sent out long ago, suddenly here they are. Things that you're praying about now show up very, very quickly. Sometimes I've had prayers answered instantly. Before I even finished the sentence, the prayer was answered. And I was amazed, I was stunned. But always, always, it was when I was in this emotional state where I had been grateful for weeks on end, where I had spent time being intentionally grateful, happy. I'd spent time focusing on being loving and kind, and I'd been very, very cautious about being angry and resentful. And when things that other people were doing I didn't like, I forgave them, not because they deserved it, but because I wanted to stay in this state. I wanted to be filled with joy and happiness, and I didn't care what they were doing. I wanted to be happy. And so when you can turn it around and take it from, I'm supposed to be forgiving and I'm supposed to overlook stuff because that's the spiritual thing to do, God expects it of me, and turn it into, I'm doing this because that's who I want to be. That's because I want to feel good. I want to be happy. It changes everything. Suddenly the energy to do it, the desire to do it, shows up where I had the inability and no desire to do it before. And this reinforcing cycle begins where positive emotions bring synchronicities, bring in all sorts of wonderful things, and that brings out more positive emotions. And when you become intentional about it and being grateful for it, it just continues to ramp up, and suddenly prayers are getting answered left and right, and you're just totally amazed. It's like, oh my goodness. It really can get that wonderful. But you have to guard your emotions. You have to focus on being grateful and on love, being loving and kind to other people. You see, there's a built-in safety valve, if you will, in the system here. God gives us total and complete latitude. God says He does not judge us at all. He doesn't judge you or your prayers. He leaves it wide open to you. But negative emotions, fear, anxiety, anger, resentment, all of those things are putting the brakes on your prayers. And it doesn't take a lot of it, just a little anxiety or resentment in the back of your head, just sitting there for days on end, a little resentment over something years ago or whatever it is, can literally be stopping your prayers today. It's built into the system so that positive things are amplified and negative things are minimized. The problem that we have in life is that we send out so many negative signals, even though they're being minimized. A lot of the times, the sheer volume of the negativity overwhelms the positive, even though it's being reinforced left and right. So learning to get into that position where you're sending out positive emotions, strong and powerful. Taking the time, I used to do this laying down at night when I was going to bed, visualizing and sending out a very strong visual signal, precise signal, what is that like, and feeling how good it felt to have the answer to my prayer, how grateful I was, being grateful in advance, praying knowing that I had received, as Jesus said, knowing that the Father's already answered your prayer before you even bothered to ask, and getting to that gratitude space where you can physically feel it in your chest and you can feel the tingle go all over your body. And seeing that start to show up and doing that when you're awake and during the day, taking a few minutes to be grateful and to intentionally send out a signal will amp up and ramp up your results. Don't do it because you have to do it or because you've been told that's what God expects of you. Realize that you're doing it because you're sending out a strong and powerful signal, and that's the signal you want to send out, that you're grateful for these prayers being answered, and see what the results are in your life. So tune in next time and have a good day.